When speaking of the most famous revolutions in world history, the French Revolution is always regarded as one of the most significant events. This revolution had a profound impact not only on France, but on the entirety of Europe. The upheavals in France at the end of the 18th century altered the course of human history. For the first time, a long-standing feudal system was directly challenged by the people themselves. The French Revolution shattered the constraints of traditional feudal order. It became a serious threat to the old monarchies of Europe. New ideas of liberty and equality began to spread. Intellectuals saw the French Revolution as a powerful source of inspiration. For the first time, people believed that society could be reshaped through reason. The French Revolution became the starting point of modern political ideologies. However, no revolution erupts by chance. The French Revolution was the result of long-accumulated contradictions. To understand this, one must return to France in the 18th century. At that time, France was not a fully unified entity. French society was deeply divided by social estates. Each estate possessed different rights and obligations. This inequality had persisted for centuries. Yet over time, a sense of national consciousness began to emerge among the French people. France became a major power in both economic and military terms. Its large population and vast territory gave the nation considerable potential. The 17th and 18th centuries witnessed the rise of the Enlightenment. This movement emphasized reason and science. It opposed blind religious faith. Montesquieu questioned the concentration of power. Voltaire fiercely criticized the church and the feudal system. Rousseau advanced the idea of popular sovereignty. He argued that all humans are born equal. These ideas spread rapidly among intellectuals and the bourgeoisie. They undermined the ideological foundations of feudalism. While new ideas spread, France's reality grew increasingly dire. Constant warfare drained the royal treasury. The state was forced to borrow ever more money. France's involvement in the American War of Independence further worsened its finances. Meanwhile, Britain had undergone extensive modernization. France remained trapped in an outdated feudal bureaucracy. In the 1780s, severe weather struck repeatedly. Crop failures caused food prices to soar. Famine spread throughout the country. The population sank into desperation. At the same time, the royal court continued to live in luxury. This stark contrast intensified social resentment. France moved steadily toward a comprehensive crisis. At the head of the state stood King Louis XVI. He ascended the throne in 1774 at a young age. He was not a cruel tyrant. However, Louis XVI lacked decisiveness. He was not strong enough to implement radical reforms. The king inherited a nation in decline. The state treasury was nearly empty. Public debt continued to rise. The deeper cause lay in an unjust social structure. French society was divided into three estates. The first estate was the clergy. The second estate was the nobility. The third estate consisted of the common people. The clergy and nobility were few in number, yet they controlled most of the wealth. More importantly, they paid little or no taxes. Meanwhile, the third estate made up about 95% of the population. They bore the full burden of taxation. Peasants endured numerous feudal dues and obligations. The bourgeoisie was educated but excluded from political power. Discontent spread throughout society. Louis XVI recognized the need for financial reform. He attempted to tax the privileged estates. However, these reforms met strong resistance. Regional parliaments intervened to block them. These parliaments were dominated by the nobility. They defended their class interests. Louis XVI found himself at an impasse. He could neither reform nor enforce authority. The old regime gradually lost its ability to govern. Public trust in the monarchy declined sharply. France resembled a pressure cooker on the verge of explosion. All it needed was a single spark. Facing this situation, Louis XVI sought a final solution. He decided to convene the Estates General. This assembly had not met for over 170 years. In May 1789, it convened at Versailles. All three estates sent representatives. Its official goal was to resolve the financial crisis. But social tensions quickly surfaced. Each estate was granted only one vote. The clergy and nobility consistently outvoted the Third Estate. This infuriated the common representatives. They demanded voting by head count. The privileged estates rejected the proposal. The king failed to make a clear decision. The assembly reached a deadlock. The Third Estate chose to act independently. On June 17, 1789, they declared themselves the National Assembly. They claimed to represent the French nation as a whole. This act directly challenged royal authority. Louis XVI responded by locking their meeting hall. But this failed to stop the deputies. They gathered at a nearby tennis court. On June 20th, 1789, a historic oath was sworn. They vowed not to disband until a constitution was written. The tennis court oath marked a major turning point. Legislative power was declared to belong to the people. The National Assembly's declaration placed the monarchy in direct confrontation. For the first time, absolute royal power was openly challenged. Louis XVI faced a choice between compromise and repression. Inside the court, conservative factions called for force. Royal troops were deployed around Paris and Versailles. These movements quickly reached the public. Fear of repression spread among Parisians. Paris entered an unprecedented state of tension. Any misstep could ignite rebellion. The revolution approached its first explosion. Public outrage intensified. Demonstrations erupted in the streets of Paris. Crowds began searching for weapons. Military depots were raided. A primary target soon emerged. It was the Bastille. The Bastille symbolized absolute authority. On July 14, 1789, crowds marched toward the fortress. Initially, they demanded weapons and gunpowder. Negotiations quickly collapsed. Fighting broke out between the crowd and the guards. After hours of combat, the Bastille fell. Its commander was killed on the spot. His head was displayed on a pike. News of the Bastille's fall spread across France. It shocked the royal court. Louis XVI was forced to withdraw troops from Paris. The king recognized the National Assembly. The revolution achieved its first major victory. But violence did not remain confined to Paris. Uprisings spread through the countryside. Peasants attacked noble estates. Feudal records and tax registers were burned. This phase became known as the Great Fear. Nobles fled in panic. Under popular pressure, the assembly acted. On the night of August 4, 1789, feudal privileges were abolished. The traditional feudal system collapsed. Soon after, the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen was adopted. It proclaimed that all men are born free and equal. Sovereignty was declared to reside in the nation. Law became the general will of the people. These principles laid the foundation of a new society. The king's role was strictly limited. Louis XVI became King of the French. France entered a constitutional monarchy. However, new conflicts quickly arose. One of the most critical involved the Church. Before the Revolution, the Church owned vast lands. It paid little tax to the state. Facing financial collapse, the Assembly nationalized church property. Church lands were sold to fund the state. In 1790, the civil constitution of the clergy was enacted. The French Church was placed under state control. Priests and bishops were to be elected by citizens. Clergy were required to swear loyalty to the new regime. Many refused. French society became deeply divided. Religious conflict soon turned violent. Rural regions rose in revolt. The most severe uprising occurred in the Vendée. A brutal civil war erupted. Revolutionary forces responded with harsh repression. Hundreds of thousands died. The Vendée became a deep wound in the revolution. Faith in social harmony fractured. Meanwhile, the king's position weakened further. Louis XVI never fully accepted the revolution. He and the Queen attempted to flee Paris. On the night of June 20th, 1791, the royal family escaped. Their goal was Austrian territory. They were captured at Varennes. Louis XVI was returned to Paris. The incident shocked the nation. The king was viewed as a traitor. The last remnants of faith in monarchy collapsed. Calls to abolish the monarchy spread. International tensions intensified. Austria and Prussia threatened intervention. French anger grew toward foreign interference. On August 10, 1792, crowds stormed the Tuileries Palace. The royal guard was defeated. Louis XVI was imprisoned. The monarchy officially fell. In September 1792,
the convention declared the abolition of the monarchy!
It abolished the monarchy. France became the first republic. Louis XVI was put on trial. He was accused of treason. Debate within the convention was fierce. Ultimately, the death sentence passed. On January 21, 1793, Louis XVI was executed. His death shocked Europe. Monarchies formed coalitions against France. War surrounded the nation. At home, revolutionary factions clashed. The Girondins favored moderation. The Jacobins pursued radical change. Political struggle intensified. The Jacobins gained control. To face internal and external threats, control tightened. The Committee of Public Safety was created. Robespierre emerged as a central figure. The Reign of Terror began. Anyone suspected of counter-revolution faced execution. The guillotine became its symbol. Tens of thousands were executed. Fear engulfed society. But violence failed to bring stability. Extremism backfired. Many turned against Robespierre. In July 1794, he was arrested. He was executed by guillotine. The terror ended. The Directory assumed power. Corruption and instability persisted. Public trust eroded. The army gained political influence. A young general rose to prominence. His name was Napoleon Bonaparte. He achieved victories in Italy. His fame spread rapidly. The Egyptian campaign elevated his reputation. At home, the Directory weakened further. Napoleon seized the opportunity. On November 9, 1799, a coup took place. The Directory collapsed. Napoleon established the consulate. The French Revolution officially ended, yet its ideals endured. Napoleon spread reforms through military conquest. Revolutionary principles traveled on horseback across Europe. In 1804, Napoleon crowned himself emperor. A new era began. The French Revolution changed the world forever. It ended the old feudal order. It laid the foundations of the modern state. Citizenship became central. Law no longer belonged solely to kings. European history turned a new page. The French Revolution was not only violence, it was a profound ideological struggle. Its debates continue today. Liberty and equality became universal goals. The French Revolution became a great historical lesson. A revolution can liberate, but also destroy. 10 turbulent years shaped modern France. What began in 1789 never truly ended. Its legacy remains present today. That is the greatest inheritance of a stormy age. The French Revolution closed amid Napoleon's cavalry. But its story continues, because history is always rewritten by revolutions, and the French Revolution is one of its most important chapters.